I'm just going to ask you some questions about the city and the country. I would like you to give your honest thoughts and opinions. I will not take offence at any answer you may give. There is also no right or wrong answers. Also, throughout this interview, when I use the word country, I'm referring primarily to remote or rural New South Wales or other like areas. Okay. Were you brought up in a country or in a city area?
I was brought up in a country area.
Mm-hmm. Have you ever been, well, obviously you've been to remote New South Wales. Yes. What do you think of when I say the word country? What is your mental picture or image of the country?
I actually just think of like large properties and fields and my friend's farm.
Yeah, that's good. So what do you associate with the country?
Agriculture and farming and, well, the opposite of city apartments and things like that.
Do you think of the country as disadvantaged?
From my own experience, yes. Not, depends where, but to a certain extent, yes.
Yes. And what are the disadvantages in your opinion?
Well, I think there's, well, educational disadvantages. I think it all, I mean, it obviously depends on what schools, but there aren't that many schools that offer like tutoring and things like that outside of school. Also, access to some facilities, although where I was from, we had access to hospitals and things like that, but just, I don't know, a lot of people have to drive to a city to get things that they need sometimes, or if they have to get better access to hospitals or better access to emergency facilities.
Yeah. Do you associate dirtiness or mud with country life?
No.
Do you associate hardship with country life?
Not really, because I think it's probably just as hard in the city, but in a different way.
In general, what is your perspective of country life? You can describe the people, work, environment, landscape, etc.
Wait, sorry, could you repeat the question?
In general, what is your perspective of country life? You can describe the people, the work, environment, or landscape.
Well, I think that it's, I don't know, I feel like it's a very familiar, friendly, like living in Tamworth, I think it was really nice, you know everyone, and it's not hard to, I don't know, get what you need, like the lines at places aren't long and there's not much traffic and yeah, the prices aren't that expensive really, so I guess the difference is that also it feels like the city's more competitive and everyone's on a mission trying to get things done, whereas in the country people are more so, I mean it's a bit of a generalisation, but people are more so looking out for others, I think I found. Yeah.
Are you generally annoyed when it rains?
Yeah, actually. Yeah.
Around what temperature do you classify as a hot day?
Probably like over 30.
What do you think of when I say the word city? What is your mental picture or image of the city?
Like tall buildings, skyscrapers, no, not really, just lots of traffic and yeah, lots of people in office wear.
What do you associate with the city?
Probably like businesses and people walking around in suits and rush hour kind of thing, yeah.
Yep. Do you think of the city as disadvantaged?
Not really.
Do you associate dirtiness with city life?
A little bit.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Do you associate hardship with city life?
Probably the same as country. Like there's probably hardships, but in different ways.
In general, what is your perspective of city life? You can describe the people, work, environment, landscape, etc.
Well, it's pretty different. So, I guess if you're walking around in Central, there's going to be no one it's not going to be cheerful, friendly people strolling past, smiling at you or saying good morning. It's like everyone's rushing to get to the station, got to get on their train, running past. It's just a lot of people as well. I think everyone's got their own thing happening. Explain that.
So, what are the differences between the country and city, in your opinion?
I think it's just a totally different mindset. Like, when you're in the country, you don't really think about... I didn't really think about, there's people competing, trying to get into there's better jobs, better things. Like, when you're in Tamworth, you just think about what's in Tamworth. It's just school, it's just this, it's... my friends, if they worked at Target or something, that's it. Whereas here it's like, I've got to get this internship, I've got to get that, I've got to move on to get the next, it's a constant, a rat race kind of. Notice that, but I don't know whether that's just because this is in Sydney. It might not necessarily be the people, it's just that there's more facilities here, more job opportunities, so people could be from the country here in the same rat race, trying to get further up. Yeah.
That's all?
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.